folks, welcome to Let's Just Go. This is Kevin and Casey's Modern Missionary Podcast, where we talk courage and family, theology, barbecue, and just the whole spirit of going for it in life. What's a little bit different today is we've got our oldest daughter, Jordan, with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Jordan.
They can't see you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, glad to be here. This is exciting.
What are we going to talk about today?
So the title of today's episode is Jordan's
One
Let's
Direction.
Just Go.
Oh. Wait,
Jordan's Let's Just Go.
Oh. I was thinking it would be appropriate to call it Jordan's One Direction.
Yeah, you tried to get us to name it that.
I think we need to do a poll.
A poll? What it should
I
be.
think that we've already done a poll, and
Girls
Not that
win.
it's not in your
Not that
favor.
one.
It's not you.
We need to do another one.
This is Jordan's
Wait, let's do another
Just
poll.
Go.
Jordan, what should it be?
My vote is Jordan's Let's Just Go.
You can't
Oh.
just do anything now.
Mine is Jordan's Let's Just
Just
Go.
because you outvote me.
Dad, what's your vote?
There are too many girls in this family. No, it's okay.
We're pretty even. I feel like it doesn't feel that way.
Jordan's fresh back from Italy on a trip
Woohoo.
with my wife, Casey. They went and ventured Milan, Florence,
We went to
Rome.
Rome,
We did Siena.
Siena,
We did
Sorrento,
Naples.
Naples, and Copenhagen.
Jordan and I just got back from an adventure. That's why she's here with us. So
Yep.
she
There-
agreed to do some podcasting with us to tell her story because there is a backstory to
Oh, there is a backstory to this Italy trip.
To
It
our
goes
trip.
back
It's a good one.
several years. So
It is Jordan's Let's Just Go.
yes, it
And
is.
so you live in Colorado right now?
Yes, I live in
Except for this
Denver.
visit. Yeah. All right, first of all, though, we have a couple of podcast updates that we want to go through.
Well, we have some exciting news. We had some friends of ours ask us what we needed for podcasting. They graciously donated us some equipment that is awesome. Like, this is our first time using it.
Ryan and Katie.
Yeah, Ryan
thank
and
you
Katie.
for supporting.
Yeah, we
effort.
appreciate your very generous gift to us, and we're having a lot of fun using it. I wasn't sure how complicated it was going to be, but it actually is very intuitive and easy to use.
By the way, is this fun yet, Jordan?
I'm having a lot of fun. Even just watching the whole setup process
We
to
recorded.
this has been a lot of fun.
We recorded about 45 minutes of it too, of us just moving around and setting up light. And there's a lot of shadows we did not get rid of, but
All the talking
the
that goes into the
seating,
prep and then having to set up all of the new
banter back
stuff,
and
the
forth.
banter back and forth. I think another thing podcast wise is that you were talking about how the male audience percentage has increased.
yeah, because last time you said, Kevin, it's time to up your game.
Yeah, you got to up your
And I
game.
didn't know how to take that exactly.
And you didn't have to
I
take
did
it anyway.
lots of push-ups between then and now, and I don't know how that upped the male audience, but it went up,
Something
and I
worked.
lost a couple pounds.
Doing something right.
Push-ups
So-
helped gain us more male audience or lose female audience members. I don't know.
Maybe that's what. Maybe people went away.
I don't know. Who knows?
Well, so another update is we have signage. We have a banner with "Let's Just Go," a Modern Missionary Podcast, and our kind of our sub themes on it.
Yeah.
You can't see it because this is all on audio, but we've been recording all this stuff.
But what's really cool about it to me is it's kind of our first piece of merch that we've gotten for our own, I don't know, for our podcast. And it's really fun to see it in a sign. It looks really good. So you did a good job getting that.
Right on.
Getting that
It's
done.
your logo, though. You put it together. All right, so we have 5 main subtopics to Jordan's Let's Just Go. Who's Jordan? And what is the plan?
So my name is Jordan. I'm the oldest Schmidt girl. I have 2 older brothers in front of me, which makes me in charge. You know, naturally. I am somebody who has always known what I wanted out of life.
That
And that
is
has
so
never been something that I've struggled with. I've known I was going to grow up, I was going to go to vet school, I was going to move somewhere, and I was going to work with big animals that could probably kill me. And that is what I wanted to do since I was a little girl.
And I can attest to that because of all of the pictures I have of animals that you have drawn.
Oh my gosh. They are my favorite, one of my favorite things to draw, definitely. Yes.
You're an artist. In fact, we have a surfboard here that you painted, and it really belongs up in Mom's in my old room.
Yes.
But we put it here in case video ever shows up.
This has become one of my favorite pieces I think I've ever done. We had an old surfboard when we lived in Hawaii that you guys were looking to do something with, and that was probably just be tossing it because it was a junk board. It had holes in it and it didn't have fins or anything, and I saw it and I was like, this is my opportunity. And I went and I grabbed my super cheap paintbrushes and just paint that we had laying around. And I went out and I sanded the whole thing down, and I had no idea what I was doing. This started my love for painting on things that aren't canvas. The whole making of this surfboard was a learning experience for me. And so I think I look at it and it's something that turned out
Totally.
well, you know?
It looks so good.
And just knowing that I went into it not knowing at all what I was doing.
In case there's ever video of it, I'm holding this thing up so you can see the whole thing of it.
Yeah.
That's Hawaii waves.
It is.
And the
Yeah.
That is a Hawaii
Waianae
sunset.
Mountains, Kaena Point.
Some palm trees.
Take a lot of pride in that surfboard.
In fact, after this, I think I posted this as a picture, right? And then several
We had-
job commissions came of it for you.
Yeah, we had one lady who actually went and bought a whole bunch of just the souvenir Hawaiian paddles,
Oh, right.
and she bought like 6 to 8 of them and gave them to me and asked me to just paint different landscapes, and she paid me pretty well
Nice.
for each of those, and I ended
You're a
up doing
professional
yeah.
artist.
That was a big way that I made my money in high school. Is I sold art.
Yeah.
All of the kids have an animal. You're a tiger.
Yes, sir.
I just think of a tiger having a very crisp sound of all the different animals. Moo, bah, the growl, and you're ferocious. Oh my
In
goodness.
everything.
We can't give away too much of this. Like when she fights girls while she's running the 400-meter
Oh my gosh.
finals championship races.
Yes. In her game playing, in just her way to cut through all of the noise when she has something direct. She's very direct in the
And
way
so
that
it
she
all
says
goes
things.
to that one direction she had always had as a plan.
That was good.
You're really fighting for that.
But that really goes into the story. So what was the plan?
So my original plan, when my senior year of high school, by that point, I had everything that I was going to do, and I had it all written out, and it was all taken care of. I had been accepted into my dream college. I was going to go to CSU and study animal science, and I was going to make the military pay for it. I had a 3-year ROTC scholarship, and I had,
High five.
I had passed my PT test, I had done the interview, and I had just gotten the news that I had been awarded the scholarship. And that was something that I was so excited about and so set on.
And you were going to go study animals.
I was going to go study animals.
Large animals.
Yes, specifically equine.
You are definitely a horse girl. We
Oh,
can't leave that
yes.
out of the whole equation because that
And you had
is a
worked,
special part of your life.
I forgot that there was that North Shore farm or ranch that she went and
Had lessons and
Yeah.
worked
lessons
during.
and then also
I worked
volunteered
there over the summer for several of the summers through high school. I would go out there and I would work, and I would get there early in the morning and feed the horses and get them out and groom them and get them ready for lessons. And the lady who ran that place, who holds a very, very special place in my heart, she took me under her wing, and she would have me help her around the barn in exchange for lessons. And I loved every minute of it. And it was this beautiful ranch. And I would be in the sand arena riding horses while I could see the beach. And people were out there snorkeling. And I could...
That's right, because it was right across from Sunset Beach. Was it Sunset? No, not
Sharks
Sunset.
Cove.
Sharks Cove.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
This makes me sad. I forgot how much she had lined up.
Oh, yes.
She was already involved with horses and giving her time, taking the lessons, going to the North Shore, all of the romance of the large animal work. But also, I remember around this time you restated to us stuff that you had said for years. When you were a little girl, you said, I have always, since I've been a little girl, known exactly what I wanted to do in life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And all of that was rolling. The scholarship, the pursuing the animals in Hawaii, the lining up of going to be a veterinarian by going to Colorado State University. And
it was rolling along.
And she's a ferocious runner, too. We put that down on our notes.
Yes.
As we had forgotten about that.
That senior year, I ran track in high school, and I had a very love-hate relationship with track. I didn't necessarily like it, but it was something that I felt like I needed to defeat. You know, like
and you're also very good.
I fought with it. Me and track fought. But yes, I was really good, especially at the 400. So that year in particular, we had gotten a new coach, and it was a coach that took his job very seriously, which was something that we hadn't really had at that school.
But you also trained over the Christmas break before the season started. You put real training in on your own.
Yes, and it was very important to me because I had a back injury that took away...
I forgot about
Yes.
that. Your junior year.
Your junior year of track.
The end of my sophomore year,
That's
but
right.
it took away my junior year season of track because I was still recovering from that during track season. And so I didn't get a junior year, which is the year where people start to peak and where people like recruiters start looking at you.
Right.
And where that's important, you know, your junior year of sports. And so I was determined to do well my senior year, and we ended up having one meet before COVID hit. And I ran a sub-minute 400, which I had done previously, but I had never done it my first meet of the season.
This was the very beginning of the season.
Very
it was
beginning.
only going to go down from
It
there.
was, yes, yep. And I ended up getting a low 59, which was
In
very,
the 58
very big.
previously.
As a sophomore, my PR was a low 58.
But I remember the goal, too, was to win state.
Right.
It was,
Yep.
I'm going to win state in the 400.
I made it to state my freshman year, and I got 6th. And then my sophomore year, me and Hannah went together, which Hannah is the sister right below me, and we're a year apart. So I was a sophomore, and she was a freshman, and we both ran the 400 at states that year, and I got 5th, and she got 6th.
Which is important.
Which was very important. I was determined. And that's another thing. I mean, the one thing about our family is we are determined and we are competitive.
Yes.
And it has made people upset when they play games with us before, which
The weak ones.
the problem is that we think it's hilarious.
We're not upset.
We're not.
Even if we lose.
Right.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and when people get upset because they can't win, we also think that that's hilarious. So,
But you
Yeah,
finished
it's
up
hard.
that week, and we checked out all the scores of all the other track meets around the state.
Yes.
And you were ranked number 1 in the state of Hawaii.
yep. And then before our next meet, all of sports and all of school had been shut down. So technically, I ran the fastest 400 in the state of Hawaii for the 2020 season. That was a total
For the 2020 year.
for the 2020 year.
You were the fastest quarter
All the
miler high
way
school
until
girl
Yes.
in the state of Hawaii in the year
22
2020.
probably.
Yep. At a total of 2 meets, and I didn't even go to one of them because that was senior prom.
Right.
So,
I think that's
Yeah.
an important, like we just kind of rolled into that, but I think that's an important break. This is Jordan, and this was the plan. And because of the way Jordan is, boy, was it the plan.
oh yeah, yeah.
And then, but then COVID.
Right. Because if you can't guess it, Jordan graduated in 2020.
Oh yes.
And
that was an experience. I feel like when you talk to people who have lived through like their teens and their early 20s, they always look back at that year. You know, the summer of 19 something. And it's the summer that they look back at, and it just was full of life and adventure, and they were happy to be there, and it's the summer that you always wish that you could go back to. And it's not that I wish that I could go back to it, but 2020 turned into the summer of my life. It was everything lined up. I was riding horses in the morning. I would wake up super early and drive down to the ranch, and I would do that. And then I would get in the car and I would drive to Haleiwa and I would get lunch. And then I'd go sit on the beach. And I got to bring friends with me. There was a day where I brought Delilah out with me. She, to this day, will remind me about the time where she got to go to work with me and pet the horses.
Yep.
And that just, it started out with the feeling of everything is taken away from you. We didn't finish our 2020 track season. We didn't even finish the school year. We went on spring break and we never went back to school. Our high school wasn't even going to do any kind of drive-by graduation ceremony. It was just kind of like, that's it, sorry. But I think one of the things is that, first of all, you can't do that in the local community. You can't just take something away from their children and expect them to react well to it.
Not in Hawaii.
No, not in Hawaii.
especially
And-
since graduation
and
is such an
it
important
didn't.
milestone.
Yeah.
Right?
So just
wanted
backtrack.
to be a part of.
Hawaii locked down like no other place. Locked down.
Yes.
They shut. I mean, so many businesses went under, and there was the 6 person in one spot restriction, and everything got turned off. And your graduation was like
Yeah.
none of it except drive by the school. And you were in the parking lot, and they handed it through the window, and then you drove away.
That could have been what they did.
That might be it. Yeah.
I wasn't there.
And you were like, "That's not what people of definition who are a tiger do." You were like, "I'm not going to have anything to do with that."
I like to think I'm a pretty no BS kind of person, and I won't put up with other people's BS. And I felt like that whole thing was just a slap in the face to the 2020 grads of Leilehua High School.
So you decided to have no graduation.
Well,
Or did you decide to break the law and go over the top with the assistance of your family?
We just did it our own way. Yeah. We ended up having, instead of that, a graduation party at our house. And we invited a bunch of people that I graduated with. And it was more than just a graduation party. The whole state had been shut down and people couldn't socialize. It was illegal to socialize. And so we took advantage of this graduation party and we rented a bouncy house. It wasn't a bouncy house. It was a bouncy house water slide.
Yes.
It was a massive bouncy house water slide. By the way, this was an interesting thing. Is for some reason they allowed bouncy houses so that families on their own could do little things without doing it with anybody else.
Well, there were two things going on. There was what the government told us we couldn't do, and then there was what people got away with to help the people that were a part of their community.
Yeah, and I think that during that point, Hawaii they were beginning to organize this very heavy-handed shutdown, but it was kind of right before they put down the hammer too. So there was a lot of gray area, and so what do you do with gray area? You just push the limits
the crap
of
we want.
Yeah, right. So we just we ended up having a party.
So what we did was we got a big giant bouncy house water slide, and we invited everybody. And the cops came.
Yes.
As they did a number of times during COVID at our house, because we kept doing that.
Yes.
And they talked with us, and they wrote us up. And there was always a good cop and a bad cop, but the good cop was always outranking the bad cop. But this was one of those times where the cops came. A lot of people called on us, but we went over the top, and we had
a burger bar.
We did have a burger bar. I forgot about
party
that.
Up the yin yang.
It was crazy.
In the backyard.
Yeah.
We had a lot of
We
fun.
got water guns. We even got slow motion us going down.
Water
the
balloons, water guns, water
We
slide.
broke the rules of how to use the water slide. a day of violence.
I forgot about the burger bar. That was fun.
That was my request.
Right.
I was like, I want to have burgers and I want to have all of the toppings.
But there was another thing that you were not able to do than graduate. You were going to graduate at your high school, and then you were going to go somewhere
A big
with
part,
your mama.
A big part of finishing my senior year of high school is me and my mom, or me and you had decided that we were going to go on an Italy adventure.
Yes.
And we had everything booked. We had everything.
We had the plan.
Planned. And we kind of knew as we were booking things and as we were getting things ready, we saw what was happening in the world, and we knew kind of what was coming.
Especially in Italy.
Especially in Italy, because Italy was shut down.
Was hit hard.
It was hit hard. But we had decided that we were going to be prepared for it in a way that we could back out if we needed to.
You were going to go anyhow. I remember
We
that.
were.
But at some certain level, you were determined, if everyone else is afraid to go, we're going to go do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was big, I think, for both of us. I love art, and I think that that's really what drove the decision to do this trip in the first place. Is you went to high school in Naples, and so you'd seen different parts
Lots
of
of cool
Italy
stuff.
and lots of cool stuff, and you were excited to be able to take me and experience, you know, the architecture, the sculptures, the paintings, the fashion. Like, it was something that you had experienced that you were going to share with me.
And we did. I held out as long as we could, but then they pretty much shut down Italy.
You were going to go stay in a hotel in Italy
And
be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then fly
And then
back.
have to fly home.
To fly
And then be
home, and
quarantined
you're
for
just
2
like,
weeks.
dang it. Yeah. Fly back
Smack you on
to.
the way out and smack you on the way in.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that just wasn't. Oh gosh, that makes me remember when you would fly into Hawaii.
Oh, gosh.
And
Yeah, right.
you'd have to have your negative COVID test, and then they would call you. Like, you'd have
They
to
were
give
tracking
them
people's
your
stuff
cell
on your
phone
phones.
number.
You would have to leave your phone at home if you went anywhere, because they were tracking people's phones.
Right.
And if you were checking in a hotel, you got one swipe
To get out of your.
into your
To
room.
get into your room, and then you were in.
And then, you had to give your excuses why you were outside of your room.
Yeah.
You got
that's
phone
crazy.
calls. All
That's
these-
what I'm saying. At
right.
the airport, the people, you would come in,
Where are
you'd
you?
show
What
them
have
your
you done?
negative COVID test. They'd be like, we need your cell phone number. You'd give it to them, and then they'd call you to make sure you gave them the real number. And they're like,
That's
you
right.
need to answer your phone when you get a call, because we have to ask you questions. And they would be like, if you answered the phone, they'd be like, have you left your residence in the last 2 weeks? And, you know, and you're just like, whoa, that's crazy. Anyway.
But that was a big letdown.
By the time that it had been clear that we weren't going to be able to go, we were like, okay, but we are keeping all of these plans and we are going to find a time where we can go. It was still a thing.
Right.
You know, it wasn't like, oh, our
It's
Italy trip
over
was
forever.
taken away. It was, okay, we just have to
Find,
figure out where this fits.
With the hope that it would happen in the future.
And it would come up often in our conversations where we'd be like, you think that we can do it 2022? You know, or no, probably not 2022. What
and
about
then life
what
just
about 2023?
carries you away.
Maybe 2023.
Right.
You know, that didn't end up working out.
But now you got to go to college.
Yeah, and COVID changed every single decision that I had not just made, but had actively had set up for
Why?
me. The big thing was college, packing up and actually going to CSU. CSU was one of the schools that had decided that you would still pay the whole tuition. They would just move all of the classes that weren't labs online. But you would be paying the same amount. And CSU is not cheap school.
No.
Not at all. I would have still had to go. I would have still had to live on campus. But all of the classes would have been online. And that is not something that I was willing to do. That sounds like a very expensive way to learn nothing. I decided that I needed a different plan. And with that, with deciding to not go to a 4-year university because of the way that a lot of them had decided to do college, also came with the decision to not go forward with my ROTC scholarship, which I was going to use to pay for school. So I kind of had to figure something else out.
Because you didn't want to put up with that crap either.
I don't want to put up with that crap either. No.
Yeah.
That's an expensive mistake to make.
Well,
Jordan's not going to put up with that crap
especially
either.
I think when you realize that you
Right.
have other avenues of
Right.
getting to the same point.
Yes. No, I started out looking at vet clinic jobs actually on island. And I was like, maybe I could work for a little bit until this whole thing kind of calms down. But I was ready to go. Mm-hmm. You know, I was ready to leave Hawaii and go and experience something else. I loved it there and I still love it so deeply. But I mean, when you're 18 and you've grown up on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you are excited to go experience something different. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was ready for.
I feel like you had to adjust in a different avenue, but I also feel like it tightened your analysis of what you really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And what was necessary was the necessary stuff. I feel like it honed your decision. It was like animals.
Yes. Yeah.
ROTC, that's the way to do it. Colorado State, that's the way to do it.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Hannah was working for you at that time.
That's right.
My sister right below me was an employee of Pacific House of Mission. And while I was trying to figure out what my life was going to look like after COVID had happened and I had decided that I wasn't going to go to college, you know, I was like, could I still possibly move out of Hawaii? If I did, where would I go? What would I do? Is there some kind of online program that I could do? What could I study if it wasn't this? I was trying to pretty much figure out what direction I could go in. And one of the things that Hannah would do for her work is she would walk down to the Wahiawa office and she would sit there and she would do work. And I decided to go with her one day. And we went down to the Hawaii office and we were sitting there and she was working and I was researching, and I remembered a conversation that I had. It was at least a year before. We had gone to some kind of potluck event at the AMR chapel, and there was a family there. And I can't even remember who introduced us, but somebody was so excited for me to meet this one girl in particular because she was a vet tech. And they thought that that job would have been right up my alley, which it 100% was. And so we sat and we talked about vet tech and what that was. And at that point, I had no idea that that job even existed.
Who was that?
I don't even remember.
Oh, it's Henderson's.
Was it really?
I think so.
Was it Chris and Henderson?
It was one
that
of
right?
the big families with a lot of redheaded children.
That was the Hendersons.
The Hendersons, yeah.
They had a
the
daughter.
One of their
strong Catholic
daughters.
family.
They had
Good
a
friends
daughter
of
that
ours.
was about 2 or 3 years older than me.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't just remember them. I remember that conversation.
They had
I remember them.
They had moved away and they had come back.
Right. They lived there when we got there. They moved away and came back, and one of their daughters was a couple years older than you.
Yes. And somebody had found out that she was a vet tech and they wanted us to talk.
Boom.
Which, I mean, I have such a gratitude for that conversation that we had that I didn't even know was going to have such an impact on my life. So we talked about that, and you know, she was telling me about it, and she was telling me about what she did and where she worked and like what the job was, you know, and how she went to school for it. And I was like, that sounds awesome. That's exactly what I want to do. But of course, at that time, I was like, I'm going to study animal science. I'm going to go to vet school. So like, that's awesome. But I have different plans. Those different plans didn't end up happening. And so alas, here I am sitting in the Wahiwa office trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And I remember that conversation. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is something that I had locked in the back of my head that I didn't even realize was going to help me out one day.
And it just came up to the top of your mind.
There, and I start Googling vet tech degrees, and I find a school. A lot of them are online. You can do a lot of them online through bigger universities, or you can do them actually like in person through bigger universities. But then they also have like schools that focus on a lot of different things where you can go for like dental tech, vet tech, get like a basic nursing degree. And it's just kind of like all of those like smaller medical jobs, and it's a school that you go to for that. And so there were a lot of options, and I found this vet tech school in Denver called Bel Ray, and its ratings were great. It is a nationally known vet tech school, and it was in Denver. And I was like, Denver is kind of where, I mean, it's in Colorado, which is where I was going to go originally. And I would have loved to still go in that direction because that's kind of where my mind had already been. And I was like, that is perfect. And so I started looking into that. And I started looking into apartments and how much that would cost me and how much I would get paid if I got a vet tech job and what the curriculum was for the school. And looking at like, could I work? And so like everything kind of, your brain starts to like turn where you're like, oh my goodness, this is something that I might actually be able to do. And we got back, when me and Hannah packed up and we walked back home, that's like what I was thinking about. And then later that day.
All that happened in the PHM, the Pacific House Mission office.
It did. And the thing is that I have, it takes me a long time to make decisions, but once I've made a decision, that is what I'm going to do. And that's just, I was excited is what it was. It had raised an excitement in me.
I remember it was this chorus of action that you were describing to us. It was specific. It was definitely stripped down of all of the other elements of the plan. But it had, I mean, I wrote this down. This is probably not the right title, but Jordan's I'm not going to put up with that crap either. It was like, why? Like, you were zeroed in on this specific thing. I don't have to have all that other stuff. I just remember that was the spirit of it.
Yeah.
It was stripped down because she was going to kill the throat of her target.
Right. It was like you had
Tiger.
you dug
What
through
can I
all
say?
of it and found the thing that was going to get you to the place you wanted to be. I
Yeah.
remember that. Do you remember the moment you made, was that when you made the decision that you were going to do that? Or like what happened after you kind of...
That's the moment I made the decision that I was going to go to school anyway.
Got it.
Yeah.
You found the way.
Yes. Yes.
I remember as you started to look into that more, what that meant though, because I feel like it was different than you going away to a 4-year school where you would probably be coming home for holidays and stuff. It became something different
It did.
than that.
Yes. And that's something that I went into it knowing that it was going to look completely different than what I had. I went to a tech school.
You went to Jordan's I have to make a life.
Right.
So I can go to tech school.
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't just move to Denver and go to this school because it was a tech school. And a tech school is a school that people go to when they are in their 40s and have decided that they want to do something different with their life. That's kind of what this was. So a lot of my classmates, I mean, a couple of them were my age, but if they were my age, it's because they had lived in Denver and decided that this is where they were going to go. There were a couple that had moved out there specifically for school, but even at the time of me going, a lot of times they were 2 or 3 years older than me. So they took that gap between high school and college to kind of figure out what they wanted. A lot of my classmates were in their 40s, 30s and 40s. And it wasn't like, it was a small campus. So you showed up, you went to your classes, you got there for labs and you left. Like you didn't really hang out, there was no quad, you didn't go over to your dorm mate's boyfriend's party or like it wasn't anything like
There's
that.
no campus life.
There wasn't.
It's
And I mean,
basically you go learn a job and
you have time
go
between
to your other
classes,
job.
where you're all sitting together and not just that, the first whole year was online. So I wasn't even on campus for the entire first year of me doing this program because of COVID. Because of that, I had to find a place where I could live so that I could do school online.
That's what what sticks out to me.
Yes.
Is that you had those other people in their different situations. They were in the 40s or they lived in Denver, so they're like, next door is Bel Ray, so they can go to it.
Right.
You had to create a life that didn't exist in Denver so that you could be in their position to then decide to go to Bel Ray.
Right. Yes.
So you didn't go to Bel Ray. You went to Colorado to build a life so that you could be in the position to go next door to Bel Ray.
And the thing is like, this is just like, I was making it up as I went. I was making the plan up as I went. Like, it wasn't like a plan that wouldn't work out. I mean, it was very practical, but it was still like, oh, I could go to this school. Oh, but if I went to this school, I'm going to have to find a place to live. I'm going to have to find a place to work. And because of that, I'm going to need to get a car. And it was kind of like all these things where all of the pieces were coming together. And I think because of that, I didn't necessarily see the big, like I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't see like the big whole picture of what I was actually doing until I got there and I started school and I started to interact with people. And they're like, so you're telling me you moved from Hawaii to Denver. I didn't know my roommates until I found the house that I lived in for the first 2 years of me living in Denver. It was a Facebook Marketplace ad. And so we didn't know anything about it until we showed up for you to move
like
in.
Jordan's Let's Just Go.
Yeah.
And so Mom dropped me off, and so she came with me. And did you just spend a week there, or was it?
I think it was longer than that.
Was it longer than that? But she helped me move. I packed everything I could into 2 suitcases. That's what I brought with me. So we got there. We got to this house with these people that I'd never actually met before. I go to my room. I own no furniture. The first thing we did, we had to go and find a bed. you know?
Right.
And all we found was a mattress. So the only thing that I had was a mattress and my 2 suitcases full of what I brought with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
went to Big Lots.
We
and
did. We
bought
went
a
to
couple
Big Lots and
things.
we bought a couple shelves.
Oh, the first thing we did was we bought you a car from someone on Facebook Marketplace.
We found an ad for a car on Facebook, and we went and we test drove it in a Best Buy parking lot.
Right. We got you insurance. We got you
all
moved
the grown-up
in.
things.
Right.
All the grown-up
Emancipated.
things. Yes.
We had to emancipate her.
Right. I was not. Well, yeah. We went and we looked at campus. You know, we walked around, but we weren't allowed in. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because of COVID.
Right. When I took you, we weren't even sure like how we were going to travel, because that was when you had to have like COVID tests before you could enter.
Mm-hmm. That's when people were carrying around their vaccination IDs or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And so you had to have like a negative travel within 48 hours of getting a negative COVID test. I was like, how am I even going to get home?
Mm-hmm.
Part of this is a step of ours too.
Yes.
Is we're like, I mean, do you let your oldest daughter go to where things don't let you be your things
during a pandemic
and start, you know, from scratch on everything, emancipate all that. And that was your trip. What was that for you?
That was hard. I mean, it was fun. I think that we knew what we needed to get done, and everything just kind of fell.
We had a
place.
mission before we got there.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Getting you moved in, getting you settled, so that then, and seeing your school, so that you could have all that done before you started your classes.
Right.
And I feel like we did that, but I think the one thing, you know, it has been hard to say goodbye to every kid who's gone to college. It's like a piece. Your relationship changes forever, like when you say goodbye. But there's something about saying goodbye to Jordan, my oldest daughter, that was especially hard. Is leaving her in a state that is very far away, in a state where you're not saying goodbye to her at a college where she's going to have her meals planned out and she's going to have her class schedule that she's going to go to, and she's going to get her orientation.
Parties.
You're leaving her there to fend for herself, you know? And that was a big moment, that last goodbye when you drove away. I cried so hard. I bawled and bawled and bawled. And I had not really cried that hard, you know, with saying goodbye to any other kids. You know, it's been hard, but there was just something about that felt heavier than leaving a kid at a college.
Yeah.
Even though there's still the separation. And I was just like, okay, I guess I'm leaving her here now. You know, well, she left me. She drove away. But I was like, there she goes.
Well, I'm just thinking she had this is all her mindset, her doing, and everything. The biggest thing you had to do was believe in her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally believe in her.
Drop her off and let her go, and go as far as you could go.
Right.
With her.
And even during COVID, you know, Denver, you're like, whoa, this is actually a big city.
Yeah.
You know, but there wasn't like fear. There wasn't like a fear of being scared for her or anything.
No, and I came to you guys with this idea of what I wanted to do. And I think a big reason on why I was actually able to do it is you guys were asking me questions about it. You know, you wanted to make sure that I had a plan. But there was also, you guys were excited for me. You know, this was something that you could tell that you saw that it was something that I wanted to do, and you encouraged that.
At some point now, you're at Bel Ray and you have a veterinary tech, you have a tech's college experience.
So first of all, Bel Ray is set up as an accelerated program. So 10 weeks of classes, and you're taking an entire class in 10 weeks. And that's every class that you're taking. And then it was a 2-week break, and then 10 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But it was year-round school. That was hard. And at some point in there, you're doing full-time school, and you also have to pay for the car that you own and the house that you live in. So I did that, and it was a little bit soul-sucking, because you're in a lab for the first part of the day, and then you go and you're in a clinic for the second part. And especially in like the winter months, you leave when it's dark outside, you get home when it's dark outside. And that takes up your entire life. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of like a lot of people go through the schoolwork juggling that. Mm-hmm. So I think by the time I finished, and I graduated at the beginning of December 2022, I had decided that after I graduated, I quit the clinic job that I was working at, and I went and I spent, was it 2 weeks with you guys? And I was lost. I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. And I knew that once I went from having every minute of my day packed full of school and work to having all of this free time, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I don't think that I handled that very well. After I left that clinic job and after school, I was so burnt out. I didn't want to work in a vet clinic anymore. I was tired of just the way you're not treated well when you work with people's 13-year-old poodles, or chihuahuas, or you're not treated well because you can't save this person's 13-year-old blind chihuahua who has 4 kinds of cancer. And it's your fault because you can't do anything about it, and that's extreme. But there is a lot of that, especially in the Highlands Ranch area. It's a richer community, and you see that a lot more. And so after working that job and after being in school, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. So I ended up finding a job actually at a boarding facility, and I did that for almost exactly a year. And I would show up at 6:30 in the morning. We would feed horses. I'd watch the sunrise over the mountains.
You worked so hard.
You just worked with horses. You weren't healing them.
And I did not realize how empty my life was without the contact of horses. I didn't realize how much my soul craved
you needed
that.
Horses.
And that year was absolutely amazing. You're mucking stalls all day. You're sweaty, it's hot, or it's -10 and you have to go out and plow. It was not, and physically, mentally, it was an easy job because it's very repetitive. But physically, it was not an easy job. And we were there from 6:30 to 4 every day, and I worked 5 days a week, and I did not get paid. I got paid dirt. Mm-hmm. And I loved it.
It was rejuvenating.
It was.
It was rejuvenating.
And I needed it so much because it brought a love and a passion back into my life for what I wanted to do. And when I finished school, the passion was still there, but I had lost all feeling of it.
Do you remember, did you ever see the movie City Slickers? Remember City Slickers?
Yeah.
And
was it Billy Crystal?
Billy Crystal, that's who it was. Mm-hmm. But there's that cowboy who's tougher than nails.
Oh, yeah.
And he tells Billy Crystal, he's a city slicker with a city slicker friend. And he goes, there's just one thing you have to figure out in life. And they go, what is that? That's what you have to figure out. That's
what it was.
But it's also, it's reminds me of the stripping down of Zaplan. Mm-hmm. There's the Zaplan. And this is the new decision plan. But then you had to strip down from that too.
Yeah.
Now it's just give me horses.
Right. Yes. It went from I want to be a vet to let's work with animals to horse.
In order to horse. Right. Okay. And that was rejuvenating to you.
Very much so.
And then that led into a new time, though.
It did, yes. I had worked at it there for about a year, and I was starting to get to the point where I was like, I went to school for something. I should probably use that. And I did enjoy clinic work. Like, in order to graduate Bell Ray, you have to do an internship. But I was at the point where I knew I was burnt out, and I wanted nothing to do with small animal clinic work. And I ended up finding a clinic in Lyman, Colorado, which is out in the middle of the desert. There's nothing there, but had a great aunt and uncle that live out there. And so they offered me a place to stay if I was willing to do my internship with a mixed animal practice out there. And I was like, okay, I guess that'll work. And I ended up working out there for my 10 weeks, which was my internship period. It was a different environment of vet work. This is the first doctor that I had worked with that poured into me. Mm-hmm. That I saw the way that she worked, and it was, I could watch that and I could be like, this is what I want that work to look like. This is what I want to be a part of. Yeah. And she did it was a lot of small animal, dogs, cats, but then also a lot of cattle. And the season, we were just coming up on calving season, and it was a lot of preg checking and a lot of vaccines. And we would go out, and these cowboys, which is so much fun to watch, would get this herd of 180 cows, and they would direct them all, and they would get them all into the chute, and it was just like an assembly line. One would come in, you'd slam the chute closed, she'd stick her arm up their butt, she'd be like pregnant, and then we'd vaccinate, and then they were free to go. Mm-hmm. And we would be out there all day vaccinating, preg checking cattle with these like rough desert cowboys. And I loved every minute of it. It was so much fun. And I was like, this is what I want to be doing. We got lucky enough that we went and we did some work or I guess I got lucky enough. She was their regular vet. But we went and we did 180 head of American bison.
Whoa,
we
that's
preg
awesome.
checked and we vaccinated 180 head of American bison.
Yeah.
And that was crazy.
Wow.
It was insane.
I didn't know that. That sounds so cool.
Mm-hmm. And they're scary. Like they look big from far away, and then you stand right next to one, and you're like,
they'll help you get murdered. Right.
And they climb. So, like it's the chutes that they use are like a regular cattle chute. It's like fencing on both sides, and you can see through it. The American bison, they're these like 8 foot, 9 foot tall metal panels with wooden walkways on the side because you can't see over them. Mm-hmm. And you stand up on them, and you have like a stick or a cattle prod, mm-hmm. and you're like pushing them down with the cattle prod because they get scared. And they get scared. They're trying to escape the chute. I mean, they're these huge animals, and they're in a little hallway, pretty much. But they start to climb on top of each other. And so there were several times where I'm vaccinating, so I'm in the front, but you would just see a bison like try to like jump over the chute, kind of like a whale coming out of water. So they can jump. They climb each other, and then they push up. Mm-hmm. And there was a point where one had actually climbed up and then got kicked and fell backwards, and so he was in the chute on his back.
Oh no!
And we had to this sounds terrible, but these animals are heavy duty animals. Like they're not going to.
They're not fragile.
They're not fragile.
They're
you know.
awesome. They sound awesome.
It's like he was on his back
bison.
and nobody could get through because you have an upside down American bison in your chute. So like one of the guys that we were working with actually had to go get his tractor and like chain the legs of the bison and pull him out of the chute. And I'm here and I'm like, this is nothing.
Where I want to be.
I was like, this is nothing I have ever experienced before. This is the most.
You're like, Yellowstone National Park would not approve.
I have arrived to where I was aiming at.
Right. Yeah. That is when I learned that I was not made for boutique medicine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it was crazy. And just working at that clinic, her and everyone there were, there's an anger in clinics in Denver, city clinics. I think that this would probably apply to any inner city vet clinic. Technicians are overworked because you're in that job because it's something you love, you know, and that's taken advantage of. And also people just don't have any work-life balance. And a lot of people just don't have a life. Like so work is their life. And when your work is physical, then it takes a toll on you. And so a lot of techs, it's a strange mix of, they are some of the people with the biggest hearts, but they are some of the most bitter people I have ever met. And those two things they feed off of each other. And a lot of them are bitter because they have big hearts and they've seen crap and they don't deal with that healthily, you know? But this was a completely new environment because the tech that I worked with was a dad of 3. You know, him and his wife had their own cattle. His kids were in the 4-H. They were a good Christian family. And the doctor that I worked with, her and her husband were actually cattle ranchers. And they went to the local church too. And as a clinic, we would put on we were a part of community events. Like we would compete in.
It's not like a clinic, like if you're in a city,
right?
Where you
it's
take
a clinic in a community,
and you don't. It's like maybe an hour away or even 45 minutes, but it's not like in your neighborhood. And even if it is, your neighborhood's so big that you just don't know everyone. This was like, it was like a part of the community.
Right.
Like everybody knew this doctor who had large animals and
yes. Yes, it was an everyone knows everyone kind of town. And because of that, this clinic was involved in like community center things. Or there was like a woman at the church that was having a baby, and so like the vet clinic was like helped throw a baby shower. And it's stuff like that. Like we sent out over this, we were getting close to Christmas. And they had ordered Christmas cards, and they wrote individual notes on. They had like a stuffing, like an envelope stuffing party where we just had a day where we just sat and they wrote individual notes on every single Christmas card. Then we sent them out. Like it was stuff like that. Like that's everything was very personal, and they cared about the people in their community, and that is not the way that I had seen it done in inner city Denver. That was I think the point where I realized that I needed to do a job more focused around going back to what I love, not so much on the clinic work. So when I actually finished school, which was after I finished my internship, I decided that I was going to do a job where I worked with horses, but it wasn't in a medical setting because that's what I had been fed up with, was the way that people treat each other and act in that medical setting. And so I ended up working at a boarding facility, and I met some people there that have had a big part in encouraging me to move forward. We had a group of older women that boarded their horses there, and they would go out every day, you know, and just like groom and walk around. And in the summers, they would bring us like smoothies and ice cream or like lunch and some days, and then in the winter they would bring us like hot chocolate or coffee, and they just were, you could tell that they were so touched by the work that we were doing, even though it was our job. It meant so much to them. And so we were very taken care of at that barn. You meet a lot of people who were willing to invest in you and to encourage you. And I think that's something that I really needed at that time.
Yeah.
I think I was starting to kind of get the idea that it was the environment that I didn't like. It wasn't the work that I didn't like. And so I actually ended up meeting a vet. She boarded her horse there, and she always told me if I was looking for something different to let her know. And she was an equine vet at Littleton Equine, which is a nationwide known vet clinic, actually in Denver. And so she was she is currently one of the doctors there. She's like, if you ever need a job, just let me know and I can figure something out for you. And then after about a year of me working there, the boarding facility actually shut down. And so I had to go find new work. So I texted her and I was like, hey, I know that you offered this to me before. Is it possible for you to put in a good word for me?
Another Henderson.
Right. Yes, yeah. And so then she was like, yes. I put in my application. I got a call the next day. And this was right before I came and visited you guys. I got a call the next day.
It was when we were in Hawaii.
No, you're right. Yes,
Yeah.
this was right before the
Great Hawaiian Smokeout.
Great Hawaiian
right.
Smokeout.
Yep.
You
Yes.
told him no, you couldn't make the interview.
We did a phone interview and I couldn't make like
The
an
working.
in-person interview that week because I was in Hawaii. And my manager was like, or who is now my manager, was like, oh, okay, we'll figure something out. A couple days later, I got a phone call and they were like, we're sorry, we ended up hiring somebody else and we apologize for that. And I was like, I was kind of, I wasn't too shocked by it. And I had been applying to other places too. And I was like, okay. But then I got back, and within a day of me getting back from Hawaii, I got a phone call from the doctor who told me that she would get me the job. And she was like, Jordan, are you still looking for a job? And I was like, yes, I am. And she was like, okay, I'm going to hang up. The next number to call you, answer that. Answer that phone call. And I was like, okay. And within a minute, I got a phone call and they were like, okay, can you come in? At this point, it's like 7 p.m. They're like, can you come in tomorrow morning for a working interview? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't have a job at this point.
Yeah.
So I might as well, yeah. And so I ended up getting there that morning and doing a ride along with one of the doctors and his tech who was leaving. And by the next week, he was my doctor. And I was being trained by her before she left me alone with him. And it was a whole learning experience, first of all. And I think it was a learning experience for him too, because he had techs in the past that had some knowledge of what they were doing. And I had worked in small animal, but I had never worked medically with horses. And it's a completely different world. So I think it was very much a learning experience for both of us. And I am currently an ambulatory tech, which is what that job interview was for. And so I drive a big vet truck and we go to people's private residences and we go to boarding facilities. But the thing is that our range is 50 miles in every direction from the clinic. And so you will be driving an hour and a half sometimes from one appointment to another. And when you're in the car like that, alone with somebody that you don't know very well, and you're learning...
True. That's pretty close proximity.
Right. And you're learning a new job that you've never done before with a doctor who's been doing this for longer than you've been alive. It's... like, I was nervous. I was scared to mess up. I did not start that job confidently, but he became somebody who has been really big on figuring out like what my interests are and what are really like what's really important to me in life. And he's been a big advocate for me, making sure that I don't get, he always says a tech job is not a career. It's a path to a career. And he's been a big encourager of getting me back on track to do what I originally wanted to do, which was go to vet school. And he's been amazing. I think that he's very much been somebody who has spoken into my life and has gotten to know me in the sense that he can tell what is important to me and what I should be doing. And he's not afraid of that. So it's our relationship has become very important to me.
Yeah. And as an outside observer, you know, basically being someone you talked to on the phone when you first started your job and asking how things were going.
It was a hard start.
It was a hard start. Your confidence was shaken. I think some of the things where I remember you being really overwhelmed at all that you didn't know. And even your communication, you struggled with how to best communicate with this doctor who you didn't know, you know, very like how do
we
you
do not have naturally compatible
communication styles,
not just personalities. And I think that's it's really hard for both of us, but in different. He's not naturally a patient man. And so if he asks me a question, I'm very thoughtful when I'm asked to think about something. It takes me a minute. You know, I'm not gonna know the answer. I'm not quick like that.
Yeah.
That's not how my brain works. And so he'll ask me a question and I won't have an answer right that second, and that means that I don't have an answer at all in his mind. And so I think that there was a lot of trying, we had to figure each other out in that way.
your paces out,
Our
your
paces,
different paces.
yes. And it was hard, and I think it was rough, but we've gotten to a point where we work very well together.
Well, that's what I was saying. From an outside observer, at the beginning, your confidence and your ability has just grown so much since you've been working there. It's it's crazy.
He was a big pusher for me to actually get my certification, because after you go to school and get your degree in animal technology, you have to actually take a test to get your certification. And I did not do that when I got out of school. I had a lot of reasons. You know, I was like, I'm burnt out, let's take a little bit of a break, it's expensive and all of this stuff, and I didn't do it. And he was the person, and I heard that from you guys. I heard, Jordan, you need to actually finish what you started.
You needed an insider though.
Right. But he was there. He was physically there telling me, why have you not taken your certification? And step one, because I had him there being like, why aren't you doing this? That was what I did. I went and it took me 2 times to pass. I took it the first time and I failed, and I had to go back to him and I had to tell him that I didn't pass. And that was terrible. Oh my gosh. I was like, yeah. But then I went and I passed it the second time I took it. He was the first person I texted. So he was a big advocate for that, me taking the next step and actually getting my certification. He's been a big encourager for me going back to school, and not just going back to school. What am I going back to school for? Making sure that it's something that I will actually use. And that is a decision that I have made. And my pick was biology. And then I got okay, but why biology? What are you going to do with biology? Can you get into vet school with that? Which you can. It's just a little bit harder than if you didn't take pre-vet or animal science, which are the ones that you would usually take if you were going to go to vet school. And so he was kind of like, okay, why are you doing this? And then we had that whole conversation of why that's what I'm doing instead of the other degrees. And he's been a big pusher for me moving back closer to family. I think that he's been able to see that I've struggled a lot not having, and what my relationship has become with him, I've seen it a lot too. I haven't had somebody to pour into me, to encourage me, to
I
push
think
me along and to question me, you know, the way that family does.
I think about the importance of you being in charge of driving that big giant truck. Like you were in charge of driving this big giant truck around long distances, being alone with him for long periods of time, that forced the two of you to work out your differences to get to the conversations you couldn't have had unless you had that setup, that scenario.
Right.
You would have, you know, run into resistance or an obstacle, and then you're like, okay, I'll just break this. But you were a long time in this mentoring environment with this guy, and he was able to read you and then able to read back to you what you wanted because he could see it.
Yes.
And I would have to say, as a parent, that's really cool because you want people in your kids' lives like that who are going to speak into it and give wisdom and also push them to do things. Because, you know.
And I think it took me a little bit to actually accept that that's what was going to happen. Because he started doing that, and I was kind of like, you're not my dad. Like I didn't say that, but that was definitely my attitude towards it. I was like, you don't know me, blah, 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 blah. You know, the part of Jordan that doesn't like being told what to do.
Right, I was going to say, maybe the negative side of the coin when it comes to your strong personality,
right? Yeah,
is sometimes you have to get over
It's
yourself.
also kind of an immediate personality that you do. Like, you know, if you're running a 400 and some girl pushes you in the middle of 400, you don't have like, well, I got to win the 400, then I could beat her up. You're like, I have to beat her up now.
While I'm running
race,
400.
And then win the 400, which is what you did. But like,
have you ever ended a 400 with bloody knuckles before? I have.
Well, it makes me wonder how far of the plan you would have actually gotten. You know, I mean, what if you needed those little, this redirection, switch it up,
Right? Yeah.
to get to it.
You know,
and
like,
you'd be like, that's too much. I'm not gonna do it.
You know, like this is what it makes me think
I'm
of.
gonna get in a fight.
You know the Panama Canal.
What?
Do you know how like both sides of the canal are at two different levels?
Right.
And so when they get a ship,
Right.
they have to dock and then fill up the water.
Yeah.
And then go forward and fill up the water to get it's like the little, I just need the little pushes throughout the whole,
You never would have gotten to the ocean.
Right. I never would have gotten to that side of the ocean.
But now you're at the end of the story with Dr. Lori, and he's encouraged you to get back on track with what you really want.
Yeah.
And other things are coming up, like the stuff that you let go during the quarantines, like your Italy trip. How did that resurface?
I remember a distinct moment where we were on the phone.
Well, you asked me.
I did. I asked you, so should we just do the Italy trip? You know?
And I wasn't.
And you were kind of like, but then you were like, yeah. You know, like you could tell that you weren't sure if you were going to be able to do it. But I think that I was kind of at a point where it's like, we can't just be like, is this going to work? We have to make a decision on whether we're going to do it in 2024 or not.
Well, and what I remember is when I kind of hesitated, I remember you said, Mom, can we please do the Italy trip? We have to do it. And I was like, gunk. You know, my heart was like, oh. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can't not do this. And then I remember talking to your dad. And I think I was still kind of like on the fence. One of the reasons being is just like, I don't really know. Money, confidence in my physicality, you know, things like that. And, you know, we were talking about it and he was like, you have to do this trip. And so I think that was kind of the decision of doing it and starting planning.
Yeah, I was afraid that it was going to turn into the thing
that
we
never happened.
Kept on saying maybe next year, maybe next year.
Yes.
And it's something that I knew was very important to both of us and would become a regret if it didn't end up happening. And the longer you put it off, the harder it becomes to do.
Right.
So
we spent like the last 6 months planning,
Yes.
having our phone calls, finding places to stay, making our itinerary, planning this trip.
Yes.
And then 2 weeks ago, we set off on our adventure to go to Italy together.
Yes.
That was exciting.
Yes. Oh, and I'm so happy that we got to do it. And it was a very different trip than it would have been if we did it 4
Yes,
years
it
ago.
was. It was very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
And yet the same. It was
Yes.
the plan.
And somewhat, I feel just accomplished that we did something that we said we were going to do.
I mean, at some point, it's a check in a box, but it felt good to put that check in
Yeah.
that box.
And also,
Like,
we had a lot of like mini high five moments where when we landed in Copenhagen, we were like,
yeah,
we did it.
high
Bam.
five.
When we got to Italy, we were like, oh my gosh, we're here. We did it. High five. When we would go somewhere, I'd be like, oh my gosh, we're here. And we'd give each
the
other
first
like
time
a
we
high
sat
five.
down and drank our cappuccinos while we watched people walk by it was
In a
high
cafe.
five
Yeah,
moment.
we were
Yeah.
high-fiving because, you know, we had definitely had a list and an itinerary. And really, we did pretty
did
much everything on it
Almost
except for the last.
everything. We did everything we planned on doing. We did more.
Yeah.
Like we did all of the things and we were like, we have an extra day. What should we do tomorrow?
Let's do this.
And then we filled up every single minute of our time until the last 2 days.
Yes.
It was more because, you know, the first trip was you guys going to Italy. I felt like this Italy trip was for me. And then also and also for the family that it was larger because when, you know, you were talking about you guys discussion about whether to go and stuff, and I just was like, this is not anything until you say what day it is.
Right.
And I told you it is in September.
Right.
It
You were
is
like,
in
put
September,
a freaking date on
which
the
is
calendar.
day. And then we looked at it, I was like, this is not going to fit our budget. Let's screw our budget
No,
and
oh
put
my
us
gosh.
in bad shape in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what we did.
There was a cost,
Bad
but
shape.
it is so worth it. Yeah.
But it had, like, this needed to happen. I couldn't be the dad or the husband whose girls didn't go, and the family gets to watch you guys go on your trip. I mean, it's bigger for you to have gone and made it happen.
I think we probably got along better now than if we would have gone
Oh, 100%.
when she was when she had just
Yeah.
graduated
Yeah.
from high school. I mean, I didn't go with like a graduating
You didn't
high
go
school
with an
student. I went
18-year-old.
with a woman
Oh,
an
geez.
accomplished young
I remember
woman
when you were 18.
who has done things in her life. And that was really cool.
We didn't get along when I was 18.
You and Dad or me and
Yeah,
you?
me and Dad.
Oh yeah. You guys, yeah.
I didn't get along with you twice.
Aw.
18 and 13.
Aw. My sweetheart.
But-
She's a little bit like her dad.
Oh, she is so much like you, and I saw that a lot while we were traveling
goodness.
together.
Watch out, world.
And I would say that I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're just like your dad."
Like your
saying
stupid
it.
dad.
Yep.
I have a name for her. She is a backseat smartphone driver. Like
is-
she would get so upset at me for the way that I was looking up stuff on my smart. I'm like, just mind your
Don't
own
look up
business.
things
She
like
would
that way.
stand
Mind
there
your own
and she would look
business.
at her screen and hold her finger over the button that she was going to decide
That
15
drives me
seconds
crazy
from
too when she does
No,
that.
I have to know what.
And I was like,
I'm
just
push-
press the button.
I have to know
It's
what
nerve
I'm
like-
pushing the button for.
Right.
I don't want it to take me somewhere.
And then
I
she
don't
would
know
be
where
like,
I'm going.
It would be like, send me the link. And like the button would say send link. And I'd like press the send link button. And she'd be like, but where is it going to send it? And I'd be like, it'll give you options.
You would not believe how many features have resembled Elijah from Mom this last year. It's in 2024. I realize you are like Elijah. She is.
I do. I see it. I do.
Well, and also,
And there's more. Here's what else you are.
We learned a lot about
Like-
what I would do is I would be like, here's my phone, Jordan. And I'm really awful with navigating directions on the walking feature. So I would just be like, here, Jordan, will you take us where we're going? Or would you push that button? And I just let her do that stuff.
Or we're at the place where this is coming or has come to its conclusion. There's a plan. The one question I'd have is all this stuff, this is all recall. But in the course of talking it through, is there something that you discovered that you didn't think of before? You're like, oh, wow, this is...
I do have something.
Yeah, go.
When school and when sports were shut down and our school administration failed us.
Them.
They failed us.
Those weak.
There was this amazing thing that happened within the parents that had kids that were seniors that year, and it was Adopt a Senior.
That was amazing.
Right.
And I just feel like I need to talk about that because of how special that made, I think, a lot of us feel. That we were seen and that we were loved and that there were people that were proud of us. And what Adopt a Senior was you picked a senior out of the graduating class of 2020, and you made them a gift basket. And they had balloons and candy and little trinkets and money and just they were these very thoughtful, unique gift baskets that we all got. And that just made everything very special. And I think that not just that, but also there being a graduation that happened was the parents sticking up, not just for their own kids, but for the class of 2020. And there was a lot of sticking up for the class of 2020 that happened.
Parents rose up.
Yes. And that did not go unnoticed. And it was very special.
That's awesome. I remember, it reminds me
Right.
of another thing, is that, and I never knew this, that the class that got their graduation taken away from them because of quarantines and shutdowns, you said this, was also the 9/11 babies. And that you had grown up talking about that with your classmates. Hey, we're the 9/11 babies. I had never known that you guys had identified yourselves as this special class.
We were
the
all
9/11
born
babies.
right after it happened.
And then you were also the class that had the graduation taken away. That's a unique generation to maybe follow in the next 50 years.
Yeah, something else is going to happen.
Right.
I wonder what it's going to
They're
be. You
gonna
guys,
pave the way.
it's going to be crazy.
Let's track
Something's
these
gonna
guys.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I have any revelation, but it's been really cool talking through this because I feel like, especially when it was going on, it was, even though I feel like our family handled especially, COVID and all of the not graduating and the canceling of our trip, we handled it. We adjusted. It was a hard time and it was kind of a dark time. And it is, for me, it's really cool to be able to go back and talk about this and not have regret or anxiety and to see, or, fear or anger about something, but to be able to see you take that and thrive and flourish in the adversity that it was. And for us to be able to, going on the Italy trip, to be able to kind of bring it kind of full circle. And that's actually really, really satisfying to me. That was one of the things I was thinking about, especially as we were coming back and the trip is over now. It is super, I didn't realize how satisfied I would feel and how content I would feel in have that behind us.
Eventually you had to go do it.
Yeah, we had to do it. Yeah, and I'm glad we did.
I wrote down a couple of notes. I am so glad you shared your very important story. You said at one point, I was afraid it was going to turn into the regrets. No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. No regrets. But also, you talked about how important it was to decide to not put up with the conditions that you didn't have to. And there were people who encouraged you to move forward in your life, which was one of the Jordans, I'm not going to put up with that crap either. And then you go to the other thing. You don't have to put up with the crap sometimes.
Don't put up with it.
I also think within a plan, you can come up with your own plan.
What I like about, is this Jordan's Let's Just Go?
Yes. I think
Okay.
so.
That's different than Let's Just Go. Now it's personalized. People have their own Let's Just Go.
Right.
What's
Yes.
your
And
Let's Just Go?
right. Everyone has their own story, but everyone also has a story, And I feel like you gotta...
Maybe they're in it, though.
Right. They might be in it right now, and
They've
that's why
left
they
the
don't see
plan.
what it is.
Right. All they know is they've left the plan.
And
And there's not just one story either. I mean, like, this is what I've been through in the past about 5 years.
Right.
But I mean, I'm 22, and so this isn't going to be the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life. I hope not.
I think that one thing your dad and I always say is whatever is happening is training you for the next thing.
There's
And
always a next
there's
thing.
always a next
There's
thing.
always
So
a
this is
bigger
one of the
fish.
building blocks of Jordan.
This is why I went through all of that, because of this right now. No. This right now
You're
is
going
gonna be
through
your
it
training for something you don't
for the
know.
next thing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings, before we close out, you're going to be moving here to
am.
our area because you are this is a big moment of shift and transition where you're going to go to school in this area and pursue some of your next things.
Yes.
And I think we know what our next podcast is. This is my neighborhood.
Oh, this is my, yes. Yeah.
This is my neighborhood.
For sure.
We've got some great different neighborhoods stories to go through. So we'll do that next time. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Definitely.
We did it. Thanks for being with
Did
us.
we do it?
Mission
We did it.
accomplished.
Yep. Bye.